Hello BabyQueers and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another story time because why the hell not? We're doing some Traumatize Them Back, which will probably also include some petty people like the one in our last storytime video. But anyways, you know the deal. Before we continue, y'all gotta get hydrated. Grab some water or some tea or whatever else you like to drink, and then we'll continue. In the meantime, also feel free to like and subscribe. Do you have your drink? Okay, let's go. Hope I never see her again. I have been a mechanic for a very long time. I work on all manners of cars and have since I was 12. But today I had an issue with a customer that was so funny. I am openly bi and dress very feminine, but at work the only girly part of my dress are some necklaces. I'm working the desk at the time when a woman in her mid to late 40s come in. Let's call her Jane. Jane over here comes in with a 2002 Toyota Corolla with the statement, "I don't know what's wrong, just fix it." I said, "Okay, there is a diagnostic fee." She was okay with this and signed all the paperwork without complaint. Where I live in the southern US, I'm used to people being insulting about how I dress, but this woman was letting me have it. Talking about how I don't have a father figure and my mom must hate me and other such nonsense. I kinda just sat there doing nothing. Well, something to be known, I am highly sociopathic. I don't feel too much in the regard of what she thinks of me, so I turn to her and say something that I kind of regret. Did you know that pigs will eat a human body in around 15 minutes? And another interesting fact, the walls of this office are so thick that you could not hear a gunshot from the road. And she shut up so fast, I think she gagged a little. Well, my coworker came in at the end of her tirade, and he's a good guy and just gave me a thumbs up and we went on with our day. She left after our car was fixed and peeled out the driveway. I hope I never see her again, lol, though I doubt I will. I mean, listen, just because you don't necessarily feel insulted by someone feeling the need to get involved in your life like this, doesn't mean you can't traumatize them a little. And she will definitely not be coming back. Like, if you'd have just sat there and not said anything back to it, she might have come back at some point. But just the audacity of her to just like be that judgy about it. Like, oh, you dress in a way, even though at work you're literally just like very toned down apparently, but you dress in a way that I don't like, so I'm just gonna rant your ear off, even though you're literally just here to fix my car. Sure, yeah, why the hell not? You should be happy. Now, this happened back when I was around 5 years old. I personally don't remember much of it, but my dad told me and my sister about this a while back. Me, my sister, mom and dad were in a dinosaur-themed amusement park. Honestly, pretty cool place from the pictures I've seen. But halfway through the trip, my dad got a phone call. It turns out our great-grandmother had just died. A sweet woman. Naturally, me and my sister had a hard time enjoying the trip, as one of our loved ones was dead. At some point, some Karen walked up to us. She said, "Come on, smile a little. Your parents must have paid a lot to be here. You should be happy." Nothing better than not minding your own business, am I right? So, being the literal 5-year-old I was, I said, "Our grandma died." As you probably noticed, I said grandma instead of great-grandma. My dad made it very clear that this is what I said. Probably as a 5-year-old, I didn't know the difference between those. My dad remembers how the smile drained from her face. Truck around and find out. "Miss you, great-grandma. Great-grandpa missed you so much for the rest of his days, and truck you to that carrot. Start minding your business." You know, the people who get involved with other people and help with their kids when there's like a mom with a newborn and she's super overwhelmed while at the grocery store and someone offers to step in and like help her. Okay. Not minding your business in moments like that, fine and actually appreciated, but just randomly not minding your business and talking to some random kids because they don't display the happiness you think they should in a dinosaur theme park, without maybe taking a second to think that most kids would usually under normal circumstances, really enjoy being in a theme park. But maybe someone died. Maybe they're just tired in that moment. Maybe they're just a little overwhelmed because there's so much going on. Just mind your business. Because the kids that are just like very clearly just struggling because they're overwhelmed, and then you just like have adults ranting to them, not helpful. But especially if it's not your own kids, just mind your business. Like, stop telling other people how they should or shouldn't experience things or express what they're experiencing. And maybe just actually listen to yourself and be happy and enjoy your time at the dinosaur park. That might be a better idea than this. The classic, how are you so skinny? I was at a 4th of July party on my great uncle's lake, and because I had been swimming, I was wearing a bikini. When my dad shows up, I run over from the picnic table where I was playing cards with my cousin to give him a hug. Before I can get a word in, my great aunt, we'll call her B, points at my stomach. How do you do that? She questions. She's sort of slurring her words, obviously some combination of drunk and high. Of course, I'm confused. I assumed she meant my bikini because I had no idea what else it could be. I asked if she meant how the sides are tied in bows. No, that, B pokes my tummy. Everyone around us, mostly people from her side of the family whom I've never seen before, are staring at my body now. If I fell overboard, they'd be pulling me out of the water by my belly rolls. Even my dad laughs along. I am so sick of these comments. I know it's meant to be flattering, but now strangers are staring at my half-naked body. I used to have a very negative relationship with food. I'm done tolerating these comments. You don't see me commenting on anybody else's weight. Not to mention, you probably shouldn't comment on a developing teen's weight in general, as it is the perfect time for insecurities to form. Certain foods give me panic attacks because people used to force feed me when I would starve myself, and now I can only eat about 20 different foods without crying and my body rejecting them. I was actually dependent on a feeding tube once. I'm struggling to maintain a healthy weight now, so I appreciate you noticing, I told her. I just walked away. No one was laughing after that, and she avoided me the rest of the night. A couple of people came up and apologized, including my dad and a couple I hadn't met before. Literally, like, I don't care whose body it is. Why are we commenting on other people's bodies? Like commenting on someone's outfit, if they look nice, if it looks like they put a lot of effort into the outfit and they look like they're proud of the outfit, or their hair or their makeup or whatever. Sure, yeah, you can tell people they look nice, you can compliment people, but just focusing on other people's appearance or weight in that way is just weird. And also, talking that negatively about your own body is not great, especially around teenagers or children, because they will just kind of learn that that's normal to talk about yourself that badly. So maybe don't. Maybe work on your own issues instead of commenting on other people's bodies, because yeah, maybe they are just naturally skinny, but even the people that are naturally skinny can still have insecurities. They can be insecure about how skinny they are. You never know what's going on in another person's life. But in this case, you really stepped in it. I'm kind of glad, and I hope you refrain from commenting on anybody's weight after this. Crazy lady at Walmart. My husband and I have 3 kids, aged 4, 2, and 3-month-old. I take them places by myself frequently, so I'm very used to people commenting on it. Wow, you got a handful there. You're so brave, coming out in public with 3 little kids. Oh wow, brought all your little helpers, huh? I thought I heard it all until a few weeks ago. I was doing my weekly grocery run at Walmart. 4-year-old holding the side of the cart, 2-year-old sitting in the seat of the cart, and the baby strapped to me. I finished checking out and was walking to the door when this old lady literally walks in front of me and goes, "Oh my gosh, so many babies. You do know what causes pregnancy, right?" I have no words. I just stare at her for a minute, compose myself, smile, and say, "I do, and it's no longer a problem since I actually can't have any more after this last one." topped off with a really sad look. Her smile vanishes, blood drains from her face. She comments on how adorable my kids are and walks away. It was really satisfying. I mean, if it is true, and you maybe potentially wanted more kids and can't have them, I'm sorry, but I kinda get the feeling that you just made it up to get her to back off, which incredibly fair. Because honestly, the same way we don't comment on people's weight, we also don't comment on people having a lot of kids or not having kids at all, because A, you never know who wants kids, you never know how many kids someone wants. Like, you know, smiling at the kids, you know, maybe making a comment that they're cute or that they're being good. Seems strange to me, right? To just like talk to strangers or strangers' kids like that, but like kind of okay, but just being this kind of strange and just be like, oh my god, you have so many kids, like you do know how that happened, right? Like obviously. I'm kind of gonna bet that a lot of people, most people who have kids know how that happened. You know? So why are you like literally jumping in this lady's way? You know, like she just finished grocery shopping. If the kids are behaving in that moment, you never know if they're gonna like start crying in the next. And you're just jumping in her way to talk to her. This, unfortunately, as someone non-American, seems very on-brand for Walmart, though. But still, what are you doing? No one will like you if you like multiple genders, he says to a person dating 4 other people. So, funny story, I once got told at a gay bar by some straight dude who thought I was a woman that no one would want me if I like multiple genders, and my response was, well, my 4 partners would beg to differ. Dude looked like he could die inside as he left. Extra info, currently I'm in an 8-person poly relationship, but at the time it was only 5 people. I already posted this to r/LGBT. Also, yeah, some gay bars have a massive problem with guys not realizing women can be gay too. Not a woman, by the way, but AFAB, and this was very early in my transition as a Christogender person. For those who don't know, Christogender is where your gender identity feels cracked or broken between multiple genders. Basically, unlike gender fluid, where it's an easy fluid feeling, it intends changes in your gender identity at random times. Generally, I still don't understand why people have so many stereotypes against like bi people or pan people or like generally people who aren't just attracted to one gender. That either if someone dates them, they constantly have to worry you're gonna cheat, or that no one could find you attractive to begin with, or might find you attractive but isn't gonna want to date you because, you know, like, I'm not gonna lie, some people might actually be too insecure with themselves and won't want to date someone who's bisexual, for example. Which, A, is ridiculous. Like, if someone's a cheater or they're a cheater, like, that's not dependent on sexual orientation, and also just because someone's attracted to multiple genders doesn't obviously mean they find everyone attractive and are more likely to cheat. That's just rubbish. But really, the audacity. Like, if you want to go to a gay bar as a straight person, to be supportive, you know, because your queer friends wanted you to come, you know, and you're just there and you're just chilling. Cool. But the audacity a lot of straight people in gay bars have to just say the weirdest things is pretty strange, really. Transphobic teacher successfully traumatized. So I, 13F, am trans, and most people at my school respect it. However, there was this one teacher in 5th grade that always liked to make fun of me. This teacher would constantly call me he with such exaggeration so that the whole class heard. One day, I had enough. Me and my friend group came up with a plan. When I contradicted one of the teacher's questions, and the teacher said, he has a good point, So my whole friend group burst out laughing, and soon the whole class joined in. He looked flabbergasted and said, "What's so funny?" And I tried to answer, but I was too incoherent from laughing. As the laughter died down, the teacher was super flustered and tried using the classic, "What's in your pants, kid?" We expected that. I slowly put on a weirded out face and said, "That's pedophilia." And he said, "What? No, it isn't." So I then blew the final blow. "Then why would you need that information if you didn't want to have sex with me?" The teacher called me by she/her from then on. Yeah, literally, like, generally, trans people get this a lot, of people being so interested what's in our pants, right? But generally, what does it matter to you? Like, literally, the only situation where it actually matters is if you want to pursue a sexual relationship with this person, and maybe you have a preference of, you know, which set of genitalia you prefer. In that case, it becomes relevant, you know? But unless you're trying to have this relationship go into anywhere near that sexual territory, then you literally don't have to know, because it literally makes no difference to your life or your relationship to this person at all. You know? Like, don't be weird. Really don't be weird. It gets way worse when it's like trans kids or teenagers, because then it's just a whole next level of creepy, actually. And I'm glad you got your friends to do this. And like, I just love that the whole class was like, you know what? I don't know exactly what your plan is, but I'm just gonna laugh along. So props to your friends and the rest of the class, actually. My therapist didn't know how to read her intake very well. When I was a teenager, my family was homeless for a bit after a hurricane. Then we got into temporary housing, but our situation was very unstable and we were moved around a lot. So at one point, we were living in a house that didn't have furniture. My aunt is a therapist and really wanted my sister and I to have therapy during this time, so she used all of her clout at work to find somebody free to speak to. I acknowledged that this was really nice of her, really rare for the situation we were in, and an immense privilege to even have the option. It just would have been a bit of a better privilege if the therapist I got had read her intake forms. My mother was sitting in the room with me. It was a Zoom appointment and she wanted to introduce herself, but off camera. I was on the floor. When the therapist joined, she asked if I was in a safe, comfortable location. I said yes. "Why are you on the floor?" she asked. "I don't have a chair." "Why don't you get a chair?" "There is no chairs in the house." I was 15 and private, so I didn't want to just jump into the situation. Surprisingly, though, she laughed at that. "You're telling me you don't have a single chair in the whole house? You think I'm so casual that you can take this appointment from the floor?" My mother took the computer from me at that point. "Yes, we've been homeless since this hurricane, as I wrote in the intake form you sent to me. I guess you don't know how to read very well." I actually met with her on and off for 4 months before leaving. She was a lot nicer after that whole exchange, but not particularly helpful. Alright, this is strange. Like, I've had therapists say weird things, or I've heard other people tell that their therapists have said some maybe weird or not helpful things, right? But I kind of feel like most therapists aren't gonna care where you sit, or how you sit, or how you show up to your appointments, as long as you're comfortable. I mean, in that moment, you really didn't have a choice. You couldn't have gotten a chair if you wanted to, or would have been more comfortable on a chair. But generally, to make such a big deal out of it already seems strange for a therapist, because again, most people aren't going to care as long as you're comfortable, because, you know, you're going to be uncomfortable enough in therapy. Probably you don't need to make it worse by sitting in a way that doesn't work for you. But generally also not at least like scanning an intake form. Like, you send out the intake form because it's important, but to then apparently not read it at all and not even like skim over it like 2 minutes before the appointment to have some information, or at least like put it next to you so you can like take a few looks at it, seems strange. Like what's the point of sending out the form if you're not gonna read it, you know? You're lucky I tolerate you. My roommate got a taste of her own medicine. I had a college roommate who loved to remind me constantly that she was doing me a favor by letting me live there, despite us planning rent 50-50. She'd say, "You're lucky I tolerate you," whenever I asked for basic respect, like not eating my food. One day, she came home begging me to help her get an extension on an assignment because she overslept and missed class. Normally, I'd have helped, but instead I looked her dead in the eye and said, "You're lucky I tolerate you." Then I went to my room, closed the door, and blasted music. She didn't get her extension. She also never used that line on me again. I mean, she has to learn somehow, and I kind of feel like with this type of person, this may have been like the only way to get her to learn. But generally, yeah, if you have roommates and you each have your stash of food, you don't just steal the other person's food. You at least ask if you can have it, or an offer to buy it again the next time you go out grocery shopping. You don't just steal the other person's food. You know, that's just like a basic human decency thing that I thought was normal, but, you know, I guess not. But I'm glad she kind of learned after that, and I kind of hope she actually learned. Like, you know, her not just saying, or her stopping using the phrase, "Oh, you're lucky I tolerate you," is one thing. But I hope she actually learned to be a at least better roommate than she appears in the story. You didn't invite me? That's bullet dodged. This is a story from when I was only a little girl. I want to say 8 or 9 at the oldest. I was undiagnosed autistic at that age and went through a lot of the typical social isolation and bullying kids in that situation. But I had that fun overlap of zero social awareness that meant I often had no idea I was getting bullied, and that resulted in me actually being a pretty content kid. It came to a head when a bully in my class did the following. Bullying. "Hey OP, I'm having a birthday sleepover this weekend and it's gonna have cake and lots of presents." Me, "That sounds like it will be fun." Lying, I hated parties and this kid in particular. Bully, "I'm inviting your sisters and everyone else in class." That's nice of you. You aren't invited. Oh, thank God. I only realized in the last few years that she was not in fact doing me a favor by not putting me in a situation where I'd give up my Saturday for a loud, boring party celebrating her, a person I secretly disliked. I was 100% sincere throughout the whole conversation. She didn't know what to say to that, so she walked away in a huff. She tried complaining to the teacher that I was being mean to her, which ended with her being forced to apologize to me. At the time, I thought she was just sorry for storming off in the middle of our conversation. I mean, I love that you just knew not to be a shitty person. You know, like you didn't go around apparently insulting other people, even if you clearly didn't like them. You were just like, well, I'm just gonna be kind of casual with you, I guess, you know, and just not be overly nice, but also just not be incredibly, like, you knew well enough to do that, which apparently this other kid didn't. You know, I know a lot of kids don't, which is why a lot of kids are bullies, you know, but I love that she had the audacity to whine to a teacher as if she was in the right in that situation. Like, she was obviously, clearly just trying to be mean to you. I mean, I know you didn't realize in that moment, but she literally only had the intent to be mean to you. Whereas your intent was to kind of keep the peace in class, you know, to just like be sort of nice to her, you know, even though you don't actually like her that much. But how did she, knowing she was just being mean, think she was gonna get away with it? To just like whine to a teacher and say, "Oh no, this other kid is being so mean to me," even though I clearly just tried to bully them, you know? Like, that's some amazing kid logic, actually. Anyways, I love how some of these stories are kind of like unintentionally traumatizing people back, and most of these people just going out of their way to make the other person upset because they are being judgmental or they're just like not minding their business at all. And I'm very here for that, actually. And again, how I've never been on the subreddit before, I will definitely have to come back because these are all kind of funny if you think about them. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you're hydrated. If not, maybe drink something now. And I'll be back in a few days with my next video.